Picture this. You're in your room late at night. The room is pitch black with the glow of your CRT screen being the only light source. You're playing an old video game and having fun, until an overwhelming sense of dread and fear hits you out of nowhere. It kind of freaks you out, but you keep playing, with each button press and each second making you more uncomfortable. The only thing that you can hear is the game and the high-pitched buzzing from your TV. You become more agitated and afraid, so you decide to stop and go to bed. Yet you still have that lingering sense of dread and fear. You try to ignore it as you drift away to sleep. Since it is close to Halloween time, I thought it would be nice to make kind of a scary video. So, in this video, I'm going to be going over my favorite examples of liminal spaces in video games, ranging from Mario 64 to Minecraft to GMod and many, many more. This is the liminal feeling of video game maps. So the first game I'm going to talk about is Super Mario 64. I think that this is definitely an obvious pick for liminal space videos and liminal space video games, but it's a very good example because this game was the first 3D game really ever made, or at least the first good 3D game ever made. Of course it had tons of limitations and tons of just like low poly or just not great looking graphics, and that kind of added to the uneasy feeling, but it also gives the game a lot of charm. So I'm going to be going over various different levels in the game that kind of give off a liminal feeling to them. Now there's some levels like Bob on Battlefield or Cool Mountain which aren't really that scary or anything. But the first one that I will mention is Womp's Fortress. This is a level that is kind of like a floating island, floating sky kind of thing. And it's kind of like a vertical Mario level, but in 3D. Like, yeah, you do run around a lot on like the floor and stuff, but you kind of have to like traverse up this level in order to make progression. And also I think that floating like castles and floating island levels and stuff in video games definitely give off kind of like a dreamy feel to them. Like it's something you would see in a dream less than in a video game. But that definitely adds to its charm and uniqueness. The next level I'm mentioning is Dire Docks. I'm currently editing right now, and I just realized I named this place Dire Docks. The whole time I'm referring to Jolly Roger Bay and not Dire Docks. Sorry about that, I didn't realize while I was recording, but I realize now, so sorry about that. I just got them mixed up, so every time I mention Dire Docks, I meant Jolly Roger Bay. This one is pretty well known for being like one of the main water levels in Mario 64. And usually water levels aren't really liked in video games, especially Mario games. But this one is definitely unique because it gives off kind of like a uneasy, exploring the sea kind of feel to it. Especially because there's parts that are really dark, and of course you have to be careful that you don't run out of air. And also there's even a part where you explore like a broken down ship, which kind of adds to the mystery of it all. Like, did people used to explore the Dire Docks years ago? Where did this ship come from? What did people do here? Were people even exploring here? How long ago was this place from? How long ago was this ship made? And it's just a very interesting level. It's not a bad water level either. And it's just very kind of uneasy feeling sometimes. The music in this level definitely emphasizes the kind of creepy but also kind of almost sad and lonely feeling with this level, and all the music in Mario 64 does that, but this one definitely stands out a lot. Also the eels. They're horrifying. That's all that I gotta say. The next one is Big Boo's Haunt. This is just a big haunted mansion. Of course it's gonna be scary. And this one, the first time playing it, I had no idea what I was supposed to do, because it's basically like you're in a huge fun house. You have no idea where you're supposed to go, and there's tons of bottomless pits, there's multiple floors, there's secrets and stuff. It's full of surprises. And also there's of course the booze, and just a very uneasy feeling in this level. Also the piano, this basically goes without saying, but if it's your first time playing and you don't know about it, This piano jump scare is like worse than any horror game jump scare probably ever. And the fact that you enter it through the backyard of Peach's castle also makes it a little bit more mysterious. Like, you don't jump into a painting for this level. You have to like kill a boo and then go into this like cage thing. It's so weird and interesting, but definitely a cool level. And then there's Hazy Maze Cave. Hazy Maze Cave is honestly one of the scariest levels in the game. In my notes, I put it as big diarrhea green colored maze, because the whole maze is covered in this disgusting, moldy, rotten diarrhea green color. It's so nasty. And of course there's like bottomless pits. I think there's like a little map at one point, but it barely helps you, honestly. There's also these weird like orange spider things, and it's just a very uneasy and confusing map. Like, if you were to be, like, you can be stuck in here forever. Like, it's a very confusing place and a very confusing level in the game. And it definitely lets off that liminal, uneasy feeling to it. And then there's Lethal Lava Land. This one's very interesting because it's kind of like you're just on a huge square of lava. And there's platforms that you have to jump across and like go to other places and stuff. Also, there's like a spot where you can fight enemies and stuff. It's a very weirdly designed level, of course because of like the limitations and stuff, but it's weird how there's just no like barriers at all, and it's just this big open like block of lava with like platforms all over it. It's a very like strangely designed level, but it's definitely pretty unique, especially for like the time that it was made. It's like a relic of its time almost. And then there's Wet Dry World. This is like one of the main levels that people talk about when they talk about uneasy feeling like Mario levels and stuff, or Mario 64 levels. And I can definitely see why. It's like half a water level and half like a on land level. It's weird because there's just stuff everywhere. Like, you can drain the water, and it's just a very strange level. Like, there's stuff everywhere that you can platform on, and it's just like a very dreamlike, fever dream feeling level, and it gives you a real like feeling of uneasiness, and like it makes you almost a little bit scared somehow, despite nothing really being too horrifying in it. Also, like the background, like the skybox, that there was like a big mystery with that. I think that there was like a YouTube video of someone explaining it, but that also adds to like the mystery of it all. Like, it's such a strangely designed level. And one of the final levels is Tick-Tock Clock. This is actually a very interesting level because, fun fact, because there's so many like moving platforms and stuff, if you actually jump into the clock at a specific time, like where the hands are on the clock, it can actually affect how fast stuff moves in the level. So stuff can basically be completely still or extremely fast depending on when you jump into it and go into the level. And it's so weird. It literally feels like a real like dream or fever dream, because you're in this huge clock and it's just the insides of it, and it's like so strange. I don't know. And people say it's like one of the hardest Mario 64 levels also. Like, imagine being a kid back when this game released, trying to beat this level for the first time. You must have felt like Sisyphus playing this level. Then there's also the slide levels. The slide levels are very interesting because it's just like, again, a bottomless pit, but you have to go around this like slide and stuff. There's a couple slide levels in the game, and the fact that one of them, you have to jump into like the stained glass portrait of Peach in the castle for like one of them is so weird. Like, what a weird way to get into a level. Like, I thought that jumping into paintings was already weird. This took it to like a whole new level, literally and figuratively. And all the slide levels are just like pretty difficult, but also like kind of fun. They're some of the funnest like levels in the whole game, but definitely some of the most interesting levels that are like in the game as well. And then there is, of course, Peach's Castle, the main hub world of the game, the main area where you can explore around. And this was such a cool and novel concept for the time. Instead of just a level select, an actual full castle of Peach's Castle from the Mario games, but in a 3D environment. You can even explore like the backyard, you can explore like the front, everything. And inside the castle, it is so weird. It's like a fever dream. It's like like all the textures are just very interesting, like from like the checkered floors to like the stairs and the doors everywhere to all the different nooks and crannies in this place. It literally feels limitless. It's like endless in here. You can explore this place for hours, it feels like, and I always thought that it would be so cool to explore it in real life. Well, guess what? There was actually a real theme park ride based after Super Mario 64. It obviously doesn't exist now, but it was in Mexico, and it had there was like two different areas in this theme park. There was a Peach's Castle area, which was kind of just filled with arcade games, and it was less of like a Mario branded area, but more of like kind of like a tribute to Mario, and it's honestly a pretty cool looking place. But also there was a place called Casa de Mario. I probably butchered that. But in this place, it was an actual little like theme park ride, or a little like, I guess, area that you could walk around in. I'm not 100% sure because a lot of the details are very scarce. But anyways, there's a few photos of it, and it does look pretty accurate to the inside of Peach's Castle in Mario 64. There's a picture of this little bomb, there's coins, and there's doors that lead to various different exits, but they also include various different Nintendo games, such as a Tetris one, and also there's recounts of a Donkey Kong one with bananas in the room and stuff, which is pretty cool. There's also this unknown photo of Bowser. Nobody really knows where it's from. It could be in another exit, or it could just be a statue around the area. But this was a very interesting thing to hear about. I learned about it from El Supersonic Q's video about it, which I definitely suggest you go watch if you want to hear a little bit more detail about it. And it's honestly like such an interesting like relic of like Mario 64 history that nobody talks about at all anymore. And I would love to see something like this come back. I guess Super Nintendo World kinda exists for that, but specifically a Mario 64 area would be super cool to have at like a new theme park. It would be so cool if they added it to the Super Nintendo World theme park that they have now. But also something that definitely makes Mario 64 one of the most infamous, I guess, games that are like kind of scary feeling is the fact of all the different mysteries with this game. And I'm not talking about like, ooh, how was this game made or something, but I guess that could count. But more of like the different mysteries and theories about this game. I'm gonna go over a couple. Of course, the L is real 24001. If you go into the backyard of Peach's Castle, there's a huge star, and there's this little plaque that says something. People theorize that it said, L is real 2401, which of course meant Luigi's in the game. But this was never really official, and it was kind of just a random texture. It even showed up in some other like Nintendo games around the time. Also, another strange mystery about this game is a YouTube video called Super Mario 64 Big Star Secret. Now this is a piece of lost media, and I'm probably going to mention it again in a future video sometime, but basically there was this lost, like, scary Mario 64 video in which this guy was trying to show you how to like either get like a secret star or to unlock Luigi. And it kind of just went through all these steps about how to get Luigi, and the video had a strange like blue filter on it, and it was filmed with like an old flip phone or something, so it was very low quality. But at the end, he tells you to go to the courtyard and then go to a certain wall and jump. But then when you jump, it showed a screamer, specifically the Keifi Coffee Zombie Lady screamer. But the strange thing is that it wasn't even like edited in that great. It was just a clip from it, and it shook like back and forth. And a ton of people remember seeing this video, but they didn't know what it was called. There were like tons of theories about it and tons of like misinformation. Not even misinformation, but like misremembering with it. Like some people remembered a couple things with the video, some people remembered some things that weren't in the video, and it was just a very like hot topic for a while. And the video kind of got found. Somebody found like a reaction video to it that people did, and that's like the only real footage of it. And also they found like the link to it on the Wayback Machine, and also found the thumbnail and found how long it was. And it's just a very interesting piece of like lost media, because it's like it's such like a relic of its time. The fact that still in the 2000s people were talking about Super Mario 64, and even now people are talking about the game, just because of how influential it is, and just how like well-known Super Mario 64 is. It really goes to show that this game is like timeless. And then there's obviously every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized. This is like a well-known creepypasta kind of thing, but it kind of has a little bit of truth to it almost. Basically, the theory goes that everybody's copy of Mario 64, or everybody's memories of Mario 64, are all different and personalized to you specifically. So if you were to have a specific copy when you were younger, even though they're all the same copy, your memories with it are almost like in the cartridge almost. And in a strange way. Obviously not really, but in a theoretical kind of sense of the way. And there was a huge creepypasta behind it, in which this like floating Wario head like chased Mario across like a hallway and stuff. And it was obviously a fake, it was a creepypasta. But that was actually real footage of a Wario head. I think it was at some like convention or something, like E3 or something from years ago. I don't know, but it's a very interesting little creepypasta. It's honestly one of the better creepypastas I think that is out there for video games. Overall, I think Mario 64 is like the perfect example of a liminal space video game, and I think it was a very obvious choice for the first game to talk about because it's also very old, and this is like all in chronological order. But anyways, Mario 64 is such just like an interesting game in general, from all the maps to all the mysteries to all the videos to everything really. And I think that there's no game like it, like at all. And that's what makes this such a special and interesting game. The next game I'm going to be talking about is the SpongeBob SquarePants Movie Game. This game, most of you probably won't really know much about it, but personally, I know way too much about this game. Because I played this game basically like almost my whole life. I remember playing this game when I was like 5 or 6, like I was very young playing this game. That's because it was one of the few games that I had on an original Xbox, and I still play it on like GameCube and stuff now, but I used to play this game a lot, so I have a lot of experience with it, and also I know a lot about the level design, and I gotta say, this game has some pretty liminal like levels and spaces. But first, I want to go over the game that came before it, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. This is said to be one of the best licensed kids games ever created, and I can definitely see why. It took a lot from the show and also added its own spin on stuff. It has great gameplay, it has great maps, and it has great levels. This game is fantastic. And it even got a remake, which was SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I played through that all the way, and it was also really good. So take the base of Battle for Bikini Bottom and put it into the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, the one from 2004. For context, this is my favorite movie. It is a fantastic movie, and I will always love it because it's just very, very good. And it was also the first movie that I ever had on DVD, which was kind of like my own, because I feel like everyone kind of had either their own DVDs or their own VHS tapes when they were little, and this was like my DVD of the SpongeBob movie. And putting the SpongeBob movie into a video game is a very interesting thing because, yeah, there is like some ideas for levels, but at the same time, it's kind of like, how would you add some parts into it? Because it's kind of like a road trip movie almost. But the game did it in a very interesting way. So I'm going to be going over the various different levels in this game, and kind of just going over the strange things in this game. Something really weird about this game, though, is that the cutscenes are all either fully animated like Battle for Bikini Bottom, or they are just weird pictures from the movie, or even pictures from the movie but with edited in pictures of like SpongeBob, Patrick, and other stuff. It's just really weird. They really didn't give this game much time because it even came out before the movie. That is really weird, and I feel bad for the people who had to develop this game because they should have given them more time to work on it to polish out some of the things like that, because this game definitely isn't perfect. However, this game is technically my favorite game ever. Basically half of it is because of nostalgia, but the other half is because it is a fun game and very interesting. So I'm going to be going over the levels now. I'm going to skip the first one because it's a pretty simple level, but I will go into the second one, titled I'm Ready Depression. This level is based after the Goofy Goober ice cream parlor from the movie, and that's a really, really cool sounding idea for like a video game level, but they made it really strange. So there's a starting area which has like a piano, tables, and various other things. There's a couple of enemies as well. And then there's this little wooden area where the wood actually breaks from under you and you fall down to the ground. There's stuff like a few boxes that you can break for currency, and also a few enemies, but there's also this spinning circular like peppermint looking thing. You have to go on that, and then there's some like cookie platforms you have to jump across, and then there's another platform in which there's a gumball machine and an enemy, and also a cutscene with SpongeBob. And then you have to jump across a few of the different platforms, which are kind of like the trampoline ones. And then there's a strange hallway part. This is so weird. So there's a little freezer area, and you're above the starting area now. But this part is so weird. It's like a pretty dark, scary hallway with enemies that are being shot from an enemy spawner. And there's 4 buttons on the wall, which you can actually use later on in the game when you get a SpongeBob power-up, in which there's a few platforms and you go into this little area, and it's like this little hot chocolate with marshmallows platformer part, and it's actually pretty cool, but also really random, but definitely an interesting little like mini game. And you get another Goofy Goober token from it, which is the main currency in the game, the main like progression thing. Anyways, after you make it through the hallway part, there is a vat of chocolate room. I don't know how to really explain it, but it's this room with like 2 platforms, a huge vat of chocolate, and an ice cube. Now if you go under, down to like the floor, there's a spot where you can find a chest, and also like a couple other little things that you can break. And once you get across the vat of chocolate, which can definitely hurt you if you go on top of it, so watch out for it, there are 2 buttons, and then after that, there's just this giant cupcake. It's like a little arena almost, and you have to like just defeat the enemies on it, and it's just like a very like kind of funny little like fighting area, to be honest. And then there's a part with splitting paths. So basically this part you can go like 4 ways. You can either go back, you can go to the left, which has a combat challenge, which I'll get into later. The right, which is this little area where if you break these walls, there's trampolines where you jump up and then you get another Goofy Goober token. And in the middle of the area is Mindy, one of the main characters who helps you in the game. And basically she says you have to collect 2 more Goofy Goober tokens in order to get the next power-up, which will help you for the next part. So after you do those 2 challenges, then you can go forward, and then there's a room with like a pyramid of boxes and like a little staircase as well, and enemies also. After you kill the enemies and press those buttons, there is a very, very weird little spot. It is this big freezer with giant tubs of ice cream, like Kelpo ice cream. And I guess it's supposed to be the brand from like the movie and stuff, which was never really said in the movie. So I wonder if this is canon or not. I don't know, it's interesting. But it's just this big, huge freezer area. It's all slippery too. Like even if you like try and move on it, like you'll just slip, even if you use like other movement techniques and stuff. And it's one of the funnest spots in the whole entire area, but it's so weird at the same time too. It's like very interesting. I don't know, it's just very like kind of funny, honestly. And then after that, you're on this little like platform, and then what you see is this huge, kind of dark, dimly lit room. A very big difference from the freezer room that you were in before. If you go to the bottom, there's a little like circle of the boxes, and if you break them you can get an extra little thing that you can get, which they're just extras for the game. You can get like little character costumes and stuff. But also there's like a big like tree thing with ice cream on it, and of course the little peppermint spinny thing and the giant cookie platforms. Once you get across that, and also some of the trampolines, Then you go on to the final part, which is another big platform, another big cupcake one, and you have to hit 2 of the buttons, and there's a huge, like, enemy spawner, so you have to defeat all the enemies there too, and it's a little bit of a harder part. And then it is the end of the level. Overall, this whole level is just really weird. It's like a whole entire like fever dream basically, but it's honestly kind of cool because it's kind of like you're in this huge candy factory, and that's what makes it kind of cool, but also there's definitely some creepy and liminal parts in it. And there's a few more areas like the 3,000 miles to Shell City area, which is just this big like open desert, or this like rock sliding one where it's like a big scary almost like pit of lava kind of. But the next one I want to mention is the one where you're in like a desert but also in a tub. For this one you have to destroy towers, and basically you have to hit these like little targets, and then it blows down a tower, and that's how you progress. This whole level is so confusing. There's so many like splitting areas and stuff, you can go different ways, and like the whole entire like time there's like boulders and rocks falling down, like the whole area is crumbling beneath you. It's so easy to get lost too. One wrong turn, you end up at like the beginning of the level. It's so strange. And then at the end there's this like seesaw part with like seesaw rocks, and that you can get like a little extra, but also it's like kind of like scary because if you fall down then you fail. Like imagine having to do this like driving, that would be crazy. But it's just like a very kind of interesting liminal-ish area. There's not many people or even really enemies, so it's just very like kind of strange and definitely sticks out a little bit, especially because I remember playing this level so much, getting stuck on it so much because it was so difficult when I was younger, and even now it's still pretty like confusing to navigate. The next level I'm talking about is the bubble blowing baby hunt level. This was based after that area in the movie with that huge ship and all the like tough guys in it and stuff. And this level is really like kind of creepy. So it's like you're in this huge rusty boat. Everything's orange and like brown and like kind of icky and stuff. And there's like broken floorboards and stuff throughout the whole level. And the only enemies are these like crazy like evil guys. They're supposed to be like normal fish, and there are normal fish in the show, but these are just straight up insane like maniac people, which they weren't like that in the movie. Like they were honestly kind of polite to SpongeBob and Patrick for a little. There's also just TNT everywhere at multiple different sections, so there's just tons of destruction. And then there's also a part with this water where you have to hit the buttons that are like kind of in, there's like platforms in the water, and you have to hit a button before in order to make the other platform go up. And that's just like a very strange area, I think. It's kind of weird to have in this big like boat like place. But the strangest place is this giant lava floor part. It's kind of like Lethal Lava Land from Mario 64, where it's just this, the whole bottom is lava, pure lava. And it's the most like orange level you will ever play in your entire life. There's of course enemies and stuff, but also there's tons of machinery everywhere, and just tons of like kind of confusing areas. There's like a little sliding part too, which is kind of fun. And after that, it's kind of around like the end of the level. But also there's another little section you could do, which is called the Disco Star area. And this, in this little like mission that you have to do, it's completely different. It's this big dance floor, which is kind of just strange. And there's like different colors like yellow and red, where if it's yellow, it's showing like, ooh, it's gonna turn red. When it's red, it zaps you. And this is kind of like a strange area. I feel like you would kind of like have a weird fever dream about this. Like, it's so weird. I don't know, it's just very strange. The whole level is just very weird, like throughout the whole time. So there is other areas which I'm going to talk about. There's stuff like the combat challenges, which aren't really that liminal or anything. It's kind of weird though. It is like this big just grass platform, and you just have to kill tons of enemies basically. But then there's the floating block challenges. I think this is the most liminal and strange place in the whole game. Basically you play as Patrick, and there's 3 different ones. There's one which has tons of blocks in it, and ice at the end. Basically the blocks are normal, but they do rotate around, and also some of them do have spikes on them. And the ice ones, if you go on them, they start melting, so you have to go pretty fast with them. And then the second area has stuff such as trampoline blocks, ice, and of course the normal blocks. The third one has this slippery ice, which is like, you can still go on it, but it's kind of like the freezer area from the previous I'm Ready Depression level. And basically there's also just a jumble of a ton of blocks, like all the blocks in the in all the past ones are in this one as well. There's also spikes on the ice and spikes on some of the trampolines, which is kind of weird. It's like, they're never shown in any other area in the game, I'm pretty sure. And the fact that the background is just like, kind of this strange, like little gross wallpaper color is really strange. And also there's a point where it starts spinning and it makes you feel like nauseous. It's so strange and weird. And then there are the sponge ball levels. These are basically where you're as a ball, which this was actually a thing in Battle for Bikini Bottom. Same with kind of the floating block challenges, but they're more like an accessory to levels. But in the sponge ball levels, there's stuff such as blocks, fans, these like breaking red things. And then later on, there's stuff such as like blocks that are turning, and like these like circular thingies that you can go around. Some of them even have holes in them. And also these like alternating turning slabs as well. The third one has stuff such as like colorful ones. The fourth one has stuff such as air blowers, which can push you around. You can even ride on fans at some points. There's spirals with fans, air pressures that make you go up, tons of crazy stuff. And it's kind of like the floating block levels, where they're not full levels, but more like accessories to levels, kind of. But they don't have anything to do with the levels that they're in. So they're kind of just these extra bonus challenges that you have to do to get the tokens. Overall, I feel like the SpongeBob Movie Game has a ton of just strange level designs that kind of make them liminal and just very fever dream-like, such as the floating block levels and the second level in the game. And I think the game is honestly pretty fun. I do like the game a lot, but I can definitely see its flaws now, whereas when I was little, I just thought that it was a fun SpongeBob game. The game's not perfect or anything, but I still think it's a very, like, strange, cool little piece of SpongeBob media that not many people really talk about, and it does have some weird liminal kind of parts in it. Now, there are of course so many other early 2000s games that have liminal spaces, but I'm not really going to go over anymore just because I don't want this video to be super drawn out, but there are tons of great video game maps that are liminal from the early 2000s. Feel free to leave your own suggestions in the comments because it'll be interesting hearing what you kind of think of your childhood games having liminal spaces, like me and the SpongeBob Movie Game. But the next game I want to mention is GMod, or Garry's Mod. Even if you've never played this game before, you are definitely familiar with it, at least a little bit. Basically, the game is just a sandbox game where you can do whatever you want. It was built in the Source engine, which also made Half-Life and Half-Life 2, and the Portal games, which are also pretty liminal. Like, in the Half-Life games, it's like this abandoned world, and you kind of have to fight for yourself. And in Portal, it feels like you're in some, like, trapped box where you have to solve puzzles. And it's kind of like Squid Game a little bit, honestly. But anyways, GMod is the game that I'm going to be talking about now. This game has been around for, I'm pretty sure, almost 2 decades now, which is insane. And the fact that people who made videos on GMod and played GMod like a decade ago still either make videos on GMod or still talk about GMod is honestly pretty crazy, because this game is like basically endless. It's just like a simple sandbox game, and I'm going to be going over various different maps that are either built into the game or also a couple that are built by other people, but kind of around the same time period as the original maps. The first and most obvious one is GM Construct. GM Construct has had so many different versions. Even if you've never heard of GMod before, you probably at least know what this place looks like. I have seen it in so many other games. I've seen it in GMod videos that I didn't even know were made with GMod and stuff. Like when I was younger, I used to watch videos that were literally in this same exact map, and I had no idea what the hell a Garry's mod was. GM Construct is very much a liminal space. This whole map is just very easy and simple to understand, but also very fun to explore. Basically, there's like a huge patch of grass, there's a huge body of water, and there's buildings kind of all around. Some of them that you can go into, such as that little red building that you can go into and is pretty dark, and also there's some bigger buildings that you can't really go into, or you can go into, but there's not really anything in them. The whole map almost feels empty, but also full of personality at the same time. And I honestly think that this is quite possibly the best video game map ever created, or one of the best, because it really lets your imagination go wild. This whole area, but despite being in a small, kind of like closed off area, still feels basically limitless. The fact that it teaches you stuff such as water physics and terrain physics and stuff, and also there's different lighting and stuff as well. Like outside it's nice and sunny, but in the buildings there's not really any light sources, but it lets you experiment with the tools that you are given in order to really understand what GMod is. And also, there is a pretty decently big history behind this map. There is one of the original little areas, one of the original versions of this map is called GM Construct 3. I'm pretty sure it's the oldest one you can still access today, and it is very different. It's just a small little box with grass, and that's really it. There's like a couple other little things, and it's pretty small. And then there's like other ones such as GM Construct 6, which is a little bit better. It has these like slopes kind of all around the buildings and stuff, and it also adds the water. Then there's GM Construct 10, which is probably the one that a lot of people are definitely more familiar with. You may have even grown up with this one in particular, but it really shows that despite being the same map, evolution with this map is very interesting. You know, like building upon a world in a video game, this is like the perfect example of it. It goes from being such a small little area to being still a pretty small area, but it really lets off that like almost childlike, forgotten feeling. The feeling of being in a place that you feel like you've been in before, but you don't 100% know. Like it's familiar to you, but you don't really know where. And that's something really interesting with this map and tons of other GMod maps as well. And I just think that this is one of the best maps in any video game ever. Also, the fact that there's tons of different little secrets and secret rooms and secret areas in this map is super cool. And there's even like a credits room where it credits the people who made the map. And despite the game having a huge community and I'm pretty sure millions of maps, the fact that almost every single GMod player has used this map and went into this map at least one time just shows that it's literally timeless. The next I want to mention is GM Flatgrass. This is probably the most bare bones level to ever exist, but that adds to its charm. It's basically just flat grass with a single little arched building in the middle. You spawn on top of it and you can basically, you could use it as like a little arena to fight your friends or fight NPCs or really just do whatever. And it really is just flat grass. It's just an open area where you can do whatever you want, but it almost feels like you're kind of trapped. Like there's no end in sight at all. That's what kind of makes it kind of scary. And then, taking basically a full 180 is GM Big City. As the name implies, it is a big city. It's just this huge city, tons of buildings, tons of places to explore with your friends, or even by yourself. But there's something really weird about this map. you can barely enter any buildings at all. With a map that's basically like a whole entire city, it really looks like New York City, but if it was a little bit more depressing, and if there were less rodents. But the fact that you can't enter buildings is really weird in this. It makes you feel like everything's fake in this world, in this level, in this map. It's so strange. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you're in a big, like, area that you just can't really do anything in. It's like you're just bombarded by all these big pillars instead of big, nice, open buildings you can explore. And then taking it another step forward is GM Mega City. This whole area is absolutely insane. It's actually like New York City, but again, depressing. And this whole area is basically just GM Big City, but even bigger. It feels like you're in this huge, cramped area, like there's barely any room to move. And the fact that there's just, like, huge areas and huge buildings, and not really like an end in sight. If you're just on foot and trying to, like, make your way out of all the buildings, it feels like you're in a huge maze. And it really takes the GM Big City map to a whole new level. And it also makes it kind of a little more liminal. The final map I'm gonna mention is GM 711. This whole area is like Construct, but stripped of even more things. But it kind of makes it almost more unique in a way. Basically, you start off in this small little area. It's just a small, like, kind of house area, and there's not really much in it. But then there is a big pool right in front of you, just this giant swimming pool with a 7-Eleven logo on the bottom. It doesn't serve any purpose, and it's pretty bare bones, but it's still very cool, honestly. And then there's a soccer field. This soccer field is very interesting, because it's just a small soccer field. Normally people would be like, okay, that's whatever. But I feel like it maybe makes it, like, very, very, like, memorable in a way. Because imagine when you were younger, playing at a soccer field, or just at a place that has a soccer field, or not even a soccer field, it could be anywhere, just a playground. If you're there all by yourself, it's just very strange. It's like you have to use your imagination to actually imagine things in this area, just like this soccer field. It's so bare bones and so boring and honestly kind of lame. But the thing is, you have to use the tools that you have in GMod to make it interesting. And I think that's what makes it interesting. And then there's this little train station area, and I don't really have much to say about it. It's just this train station area, and that's it. It's just nothing really. It's just a little train station. There's no train or anything, by the way. It's just nothing. But now I'm going to talk about the real big thing in this map, the masterpiece of this map, the 7-Eleven itself. Now, normally a map called GM 7-Eleven, or a video game map based after a 7-Eleven, seems so boring. A 7-Eleven? Literally one of the most lame, like, places ever. I think a normal gas station could be more interesting than a 7-Eleven. But this map makes 7-Eleven even stranger than it is in real life. There's actually some cool features on this 7-Eleven area, such as the doors which actually open, which is honestly a cool little thing that they added there. There's also, like, this spinny thingy in the middle of the 7-Eleven. I don't really know what it is. But also, like, the racks that supposedly would have food on them don't have anything on them. But that's the thing, you can add whatever you want to this. You can add food, you could add anything. You could add SpongeBob. You could add another mini 7-Eleven on it if you really wanted to. Now, on the inside and the outside of the 7-Eleven are little promotions with a character named Domo. Now, if you don't know who Domo is this Japanese character which was popular in the late 2000s and early 2010s. He originally started in, like, Japan as, like, this little Japanese character, but then ended up going to the United States with its own, like, Nickelodeon show and stuff, and it also kind of became like a fashion trend. There were Domo backpacks, hats, school supplies, Domo shirts, Domo everything. This thing was a sensation, but you never really see it anymore. But that's what makes this map so interesting and so unique. It feels like it's stuck in the past. The fact that it has promotions from years ago, these are real promotions too. Domo did collab with 7-Eleven to have stuff such as Slurpee drinks and I think like cups and like mugs and stuff, and tons of other stuff like that. Like there were Domo plushies, I'm pretty sure. The fact that these are in this specific map on GMod that you still can play today is really interesting, because you would never see Domo stuff at a 7-Eleven now because the promotion's not going on. But back then it was going on, and the fact that it's never been updated really makes it really interesting that it's there. And it really adds a strange, empty, scary-ish feeling like it's stuck in the past. However, the 7-Eleven's not the weirdest part. There's this dark room with an elevator. There's this elevator in the 7-Eleven. If you go down, you end up in this dark, dilapidated room. It's almost like a creepy old storage room that you would see at like an abandoned warehouse or something. And even stranger is this dark yellow bunker. This bunker literally just is liminal space. There's nothing else to say. It is liminal space. It is the liminal space area ever. And it's horrifying because it's a bunker. Did people even live there? Did people do anything there? I mean, yeah, it's in a video game map, but still, it's just such a weird inclusion. It's a 7-Eleven and it has a bunker underneath it. It's so weird. Also, something with this map is that there's actually a fan-made night version of this map where it's at nighttime and it's all dark and stuff. I think that this is honestly kind of better than the original, because everyone remembers going to a gas station or a 7-Eleven or a McDonald's or really anywhere at night specifically. There is really nothing that gets more liminal than that. Like, everyone has a memory of going somewhere like that, and I think that really adds to the atmosphere. It really adds to the atmosphere a lot. Overall, this whole map is just so strange. It feels so empty and so, like, full of personality. It really feels like you have to use your imagination to make this place like work and make it feel interesting and stuff. But that's something that's really cool with this map and many other GMod maps. Yes, they're pretty bare bones, but you have to use the tools that are given to you to make them fun. And that's what's really interesting about GMod. The fact that there's so much stuff and so many cool, colorful items. There's millions of stuff on the workshop that you can use. But the fact that a lot of these maps are just small areas with not much in them makes them so interesting and so memorable to this day. The next game I'm talking about is Minecraft. I mean, I don't even have to explain what Minecraft is. It's the best-selling video game of all time. Everyone who's watched this has probably played Minecraft before, or at the very least, watched Minecraft videos. And guess what? Since Minecraft is basically a limitless game, and also the fact that you can build anything, and really just do whatever in Minecraft, that makes it pretty good for liminal spaces. But first, I want to go over stuff that people haven't made, instead the stuff that has happened randomly. What I'm talking about is world generation. World generation is when you start up a new Minecraft world, there is a random seed. And what seeds are basically a string of numbers, or you could type it out in letters, which would then convert it to numbers, I think. And basically, it makes the world be what it is. Now, I think a lot of people actually remember entering specific seeds to find specific worlds. There were always tons of different ones. I remember there was like one that was literally just named Diamonds, and it was just a ton of diamonds in the world at some like specific spot. I remember hearing about that from like one of my cousins, and I remember like playing one world with like a specific seed in which it had a huge like lava pool, and it had like tons of diamonds like under the spawn and stuff. Basically, that is what world generation is. And in Minecraft, world generation can get very crazy, especially in the very old versions of the game. Due to the fact that Minecraft back in the first few years, it wasn't fully finalized as a game. There was tons of blocks that are in the game now that weren't in the game back then. And of course, tons of other stuff such as like eating. You used to not be able to stack food, and it used to regenerate your health. You couldn't sprint, and just tons of other stuff. And honestly, I think Minecraft has become a better game overall, like over time. But old Minecraft definitely has a charm to it. And one of those charms is the world generation. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about world building. World building, of course, just all the blocks in Minecraft. You can build whatever you want. You can basically just, even with redstone, you can make whatever you want. There's tons of crazy stuff that's been made before. But specifically just casual world building. I feel like just the most normal, mundane worlds are some of the most interesting and liminal. And one of the reasons for that is because after you're done building a world in Minecraft, you usually don't really go back to it unless you really are like playing the game a lot every day in a specific world, or if you wanted to go back and visit it. But that's the thing, when you go back and visit your old Minecraft worlds, it's a little bit liminal and a little bit strange. I remember playing Minecraft with so many people. My friends, my brother, my cousins, even my mom at one point. The fact that everyone has played Minecraft and probably built a Minecraft world honestly just goes to show that it's limitless, and also limitless to liminal spaces. And here's the thing, this is something I kind of realized. Minecraft is kind of like a time capsule. Like, you build a world for a little bit. It could be by yourself, it could be with your friends, your brother, your family members, whoever. Just whoever. You could build Minecraft worlds with whoever. You could build it by yourself. And then when you stop playing for, it could be like a couple months. It could be a couple of years. It could be a decade. It could be so many different time periods that you have built a world in Minecraft in. And that's the thing. Without realizing it, when you were younger, you were just building Minecraft worlds. But if you go to them now, it's like a time capsule. Especially if there's stuff such as signs, or specific like structures of possibly a game or a TV show, or friends, really just whatever. And that's the thing. You build so many things in Minecraft to the point where you just forget some of the things that you built. So you could just go back to some random world and you could see something that you haven't thought about in years. And it just brings back tons of memories, especially if it was with others. But also there is kind of a bad side. The fact that some of the consoles or devices that you played on probably might not have saved your Minecraft worlds, or are just gone in general. There's been so many Kindles, iPads, even like a couple Xbox accounts that I can't really access anymore, or like tablets and stuff that have become lost, broken, or straight up just don't work anymore. And I can never access those Minecraft worlds ever again. But the thing is, the ones that I can access are still very special to me, because it shows a period in my life that I might not have known about. And the fact that it saves the date too is really cool, honestly. So going back to different Minecraft worlds is like not just a fun little thing to do, but it's like an experience. And it's really like going into the past. Also something with old Minecraft worlds is YouTuber worlds, such as DanTDM, Stampy, popular MMOs. It could be any other YouTuber too, but those were the main three, and those are the three I'm talking about. DanTDM, of course, had his old lab, and you know what's crazy? That's one of the most recognizable Minecraft worlds possibly ever. And I remember Dan saying at one point, I don't know if I'll be able to find the video, but I remember him saying that he just built it very quickly for a short little like mod showcase that he did. And that's crazy. That world seeing old videos of it, or actually like finding a world download for it and playing it, is like so nostalgic, especially for me. I used to watch, I am a Dan TDM enthusiast, okay? So seeing that old lab is really cool, especially stuff like the treasure room with his custom mod adventures. That is really cool. You can really only see it through videos and stuff from his videos, but that was a really cool thing. It would be amazing if he brought that back sometime, or if some other new Minecraft YouTuber did something like that, because that was really unique, especially for the time. Next, I'm going to be talking about popular MMOs and his challenge games map. So basically, his challenge games were basically where him and his girlfriend Jen would both open up lucky blocks, and they would get an assortment of weapons, diamonds, loot, just tons of stuff, and they could trade it into the villagers, and they would get specific, like, items for it. Like, I remember watching tons of his Five Nights at Freddy's ones. There were specific things such as, like, Freddy's microphone, Foxy's hook, tons of different stuff like that. And that was really something unique. Even though it's the same format, it still was unique each time, because they were facing a different enemy, and also there were different items to use as well, and different armor too, and different lucky blocks. But the battle arena itself is really, it's pretty basic, but it's definitely memorable, and it's honestly really great. It's just simply made out of wood, and I think there's some cobblestone slabs that, like, here and there, and it's just a nice, like, circular, simple little arena, but it definitely works. And I remember trying to build my own arena when I was like 8 years old, and I just built an obsidian brick, and it sucked. I remember, because I didn't have any mods either, and I was playing on like my old iPad mini or something, so I'd just be fighting like creepers and zombies. So I feel like his series was definitely a unique one, and it kind of sucks that he doesn't do them anymore. Instead, he is spending his time in jail, and I guess doing a podcast now. And the final YouTuber I'm mentioning is Stampy. Now, originally, I would probably mention Stampy in between popular MMOs and Dan TDM, or maybe just the first one I would mention, but he recently ended his Lovely World series that started over a decade ago, in like 2012, I'm pretty sure. I remember those old videos were actually unlisted for a bit because he used to swear in them. Then I think he re-uploaded them at one point, which is honestly really cool of him. I think he like removed swears because tons of kids watch his videos, but still, it's really cool that he did that. And this world is insane. It's so cool. Basically, it was just this huge world. He had his own house, which was this nice, awesome, like, house with so many different rooms in it. It was like a fun house. It was like a maze in there. It was so cool. I specifically remember Alfred Lee. I remember he would appear behind that painting, and I think tons of people learned about that from his series, because you could actually like go through a specific part of paintings if you did it the correct way, and I think everyone did that basically because of his series, which is cool. And of course, the Funland. Stampy's Funland is one of the most memorable parts of any Minecraft world to ever exist. In Stampy's Funland, he would have tons of fun, unique mini-games. And normally, like, I think tons of people have made, mini-games in Minecraft. Even when you were a kid, you probably made them. But his were really unique because he would use the tools given to him to his advantage. He would use different redstone contraptions, he would use fishing poles, he would use TNT, he would build some really amazing things. Like, I mean, amazing things. And every minigame was so unique, and each video showing it was, like, so cool. It was really just such a memorable thing from any Minecraft video or any series at all from Minecraft. And his world was extremely special because I've watched probably like 300 of those videos. I'm not even gonna lie. I've watched a lot, or at least like 200 something. And of course, recently he had ended his Lovely World series. And my opinion on the ending, I thought it was good. A little bit cliche, a little bit but I thought it was I think if he thought it was a good way to end the series, I think it was too, because Dude, there was 823 episodes of this series. That's insane. And it's one of the most memorable Minecraft series to ever exist. And he actually did a follow-up video, which was like 40 minutes long. And I watched all of that, by the way. It was really good. I highly suggest it. And he actually said he was working with the Minecraft marketplace, like the Bedrock one, with actual like businesses and creators to somehow bring his world to Minecraft, which would be amazing. I think that that would be one of the top selling Minecraft worlds, honestly. And he actually said that he would have to change some stuff, like maybe fix some of the mini games, or maybe just not fix them, because you can't really fix some of them, as I said. But I still think it would be an amazing thing to have in Minecraft, and I would definitely download that. And also, when I was a kid, and so many other people, everyone tried making Minecraft videos. Don't even try and deny it. If you had a YouTube channel back then, you made Minecraft videos. I remember making so many different series. I remember making a survival series that lasted like 2 episodes. I remember making an Xbox series that lasted like 3 episodes, and I misspelled one of the titles to say Minecraft. And also I remember making one where I basically copied one of Stampy's videos and I went to the moon, and it sucked. All those videos are gone now, of course, but I'll still have the memories of them. I was really trying to make unique content at the time, but it was terrible. It was really bad, and I think many people can agree too. However, something did happen with Minecraft. Around 2016 to like 2018, people just weren't playing Minecraft anymore, and it was seen as a childish, dumb, lame, boring, stupid game by so many people. And I remember following what everyone else said. I completely disregarded all my memories of Minecraft, and I was just like, yeah, Minecraft sucks. But the thing is, now I realize that was a big mistake. Not just because I love Minecraft, but if there's something that people say is stupid or dumb, or you're an idiot for liking it, then you don't have to listen to them. There's tons of stuff that I like that a ton of other people would think is cringe, stupid, dumb, or any other kind of insult like that. But during that time when Minecraft became one of those things, after that I realized that you don't need to follow what everyone says. You can like what you like, and you can do what you want to do, just as long as it's not illegal. And Minecraft really taught me that lesson, and I'm pretty thankful for it, because I still love Minecraft. Even at that time, I loved Minecraft. Like, I didn't play it, but I had so many good memories with it. I really didn't hate Minecraft at all. So, I'll always be thankful for Minecraft for kind of teaching me that lesson to not always follow what everybody else says. And I remember when Minecraft became popular again, mostly with PewDiePie's series in 2019, but I think it was kind of starting to become a little bit more popular over time. I'm not saying PewDiePie saved Minecraft, but his series is one of the best Minecraft series. I really wish he kept doing it. But honestly, his Minecraft series, it just started off as a small little kind of joke that he had, where during his battle with T-Series, which was the channel he was fighting to get 100 million subscribers, I remember he had a gaming week. He played games like Terraria and of course Minecraft. It was originally just kind of as a joke because his first ever video was a Minecraft video, and there was always this false kind of thing that he hated Minecraft. But he had a great time with Minecraft, and I had a great time watching the series. I remember every single day he would upload, I would watch it, and then I would talk to my brother about that video, and he watched it too. And despite not watching it together, the fact that it still brought us together to talk to each other during a time where we didn't really hang out that much is really something special, because PewDiePie is just a great YouTuber overall, and that Minecraft series was just amazing. Overall, I think Minecraft is quite possibly one of the most important games ever made, just because there's so much with Minecraft, and there's so much to explain and talk about with Minecraft, but it really is just a very special game, and there's so many memories that me and so many others have with Minecraft, not just making worlds, but also watching YouTubers and just having fun in Minecraft. And the fact that you can still usually go back to your old Minecraft worlds and see what you as a child was thinking, building, creating, and using your imagination for is something that's really unique and that almost no other game can really do. I know that there's other games like Roblox and even GMod, honestly, but Minecraft just has that certain charm to it, and I don't think any game could come close to it. Now the next few games I'm gonna mention are also Minecraft related, but they're not actually Minecraft. They're kind of like ripoff apps, or kinda, I guess, Minecraft inspired games, very broad term there, but they're basically like Minecraft games, just games in the style of Minecraft, but they have a gimmick, like usually fighting, guns, or other stuff like that. And honestly, a lot of these games were very strange because they had like Minecraft items, but they were usually recolored or retextured, and they also just added new stuff that seems like it would be in Minecraft, but it's just in some like rip-off app. And I mentioned one of them, which was the runner one made by the Pixelgun 3D people in 20 Lost Mobile Games. And that game was just like a basic runner game, but it still had tons of like Minecraft inspired things. But the first game I'm going to be mentioning here is Pixelgun 3D. A brief rundown, Pixelgun 3D was basically just a Minecraft shooter mobile game. And it's actually still very popular. And I can see why. I mean, they've had consistent updates, they've kind of furthered themselves away from the Minecraft look, kind of, but it still has a lot of Minecraft elements, and especially with some of their older stuff, it's definitely very Minecraft reminiscent. So I'm going to be going over some of the various different maps, some of my personal favorites, and some of the most memorable ones, and the first one is the classic pool. The classic pool is just a very simple, kind of symmetrical pool area, where in the middle there's this little pool, and on the outside it's kind of like a locker room. There's stuff like, I think like lockers or like toilets for some reason, I don't know why. And basically it's just a very small, simple, but very nice looking area. And this is just a well-designed map despite being small, and it's probably the most memorable. And it's just very nice. The next one is Paradise Resort. Paradise Resort is honestly one of the nicest, most like magical looking areas in the whole game. One of the best maps, honestly. Basically it's like this resort area where you would like take a vacation, and there's various different like houses, I guess kind of like more apartments and stuff. Maybe like Airbnbs, I don't know if that exists in Pixelgun. But there's like a nice beachside area with some like chairs that you can lay down on, and it's very like just kind of dreamlike, honestly. It's kind of like Frutiger Arrow, if you remember my Frutiger Arrow video. And it's just a very nice looking area, and honestly it would be like insanely cool to visit this in real life if it were to exist. The next is Silent School. This is of course a school area. There's various different school rooms, but there's some very strange things. There's a whole room where there's like floating papers. There's a part where there's like this front yard area, which is kind of like, it has like a fountain near it, and it's just like a front yard area for schools that you would usually see at schools. But the weirdest part is this kind of like back room, kind of like vent area. It's fully red, and it's just like a bottomless pit, and it's supposed to be like the vent area kind of. And it's just behind the school, and it makes it creepy. It's really strange, but honestly it's very cool. One of my favorite areas in the whole game. One of the best designed little like areas for the map. The next map is Inside the Code. This kind of gives off that, I guess like kind of like hacker kind of look to it, where it's like black, but it has like a specific outlined color for the block. So like it's a black block, but it has green outlines, and it's just this very like Matrix inspired kind of map where you just jump around blocks, and it's inside the code. And there was actually a full campaign world, or a full campaign like level based off of this kind of design, and I think that's even cooler. And I think That's one of my favorite levels for the campaign also. The next one's a pretty strange one, but I feel like it's important to mention. Virtual Marathon. This is for one of the mini games in which you just run. That's the whole thing. You can control your character. You are endlessly running though. And it's like this interesting like purple area. There's also like red spikes that you can avoid, walls, and again, it's only the running mini game. And it's just a really simple but pretty memorable mini game. It's honestly one of my favorites. And it's just cool looking, honestly. And the final map I'm gonna mention is Heaven Garden. This is just purely a dreamy, strange, interesting map. It's supposed to be, I guess, based in like a heavenly area, like a heaven garden, basically. And there's tons of flowers. There's like trees with nice, beautiful colors everywhere. There's nice little like ponds and like bridges and stuff. And it's just very nice. It's very bright though, honestly. And it's just a very dream-like area. Like, there's not any other way to describe it besides from that. But this would be, like, a really cool place to visit in real life. And speaking about visiting places in real life, have you ever wanted to visit a video game map in real life? Chances are, probably yes, even if you didn't notice. Now, the funny story, the whole reason why I'm adding this part in, not the whole reason, but a part of the reason is because I saw on TikTok, there was this like slideshow and it said like, where are you getting the most high? And it was like tons of video game map areas and there was a pixel gun one. And it was like, what? I don't know why, but I just thought that was extremely funny. But then it got me thinking, what if I could technically explore these areas, these maps in video games, in real life? And it got me thinking, because imagine all the places that I have mentioned in this video thus far. Pixel Gun, Mario 64, hell, even the SpongeBob Movie Game, Minecraft. All these places you're probably familiar with. You've seen these places on video games, and you played through them. But imagine being able to visit them in real life. Technically with Mario 64, I guess that little like theme park ride place you could technically visit, but that's gone now. But like, think of when you made your Minecraft worlds. Think about how much you wish you could visit them in real life. All these places that you built from your imagination. Being able to visit them in real life would be so magical. Being able to go to places that are in GMod, such as the 7-Eleven, or even the Construct. They feel so real somehow. But they're not. And you can't really visit them in real life. Hell, there's even been like GMod, like actual visiting Construct in real life kind of images and videos that I have seen. But that's the thing. You're so familiar with these places, and it feels like you've seen them in real life before. But you never have. You've only seen them online and on video games. And that's really interesting, because imagine being able to visit these places. That would be so cool. And don't even try to tell me that VR counts. That doesn't count. It's pretty close, but it doesn't count. I still have a couple more Minecraft apps to talk about. So I'm going to go into one of them, Block Gun 3D. Now, I specifically remember playing the Block Gun 3D Call of Destiny game, but they had a few other ones. And they all kind of have the same format. It's Minecraft, but with guns. So cool, right? Even though you could just download a mod. But still, they were very novel and cool for the time. And in Block Gun 3D Call of Destiny, I remember this like white map area where you could just like fight tons of zombies, and it felt honestly really liminal. Because there were only enemies. You could play multiplayer, but I don't really remember playing multiplayer that much. But it was just a very strange, interesting, but honestly really cool area. It kind of reminded me of like a place like Home Depot or something. Or like a place with like a huge building, like a warehouse. Because it almost seemed like a movie set, because there was like a floating like spaceship thingy, I remember, and you could go on platforms and stuff. And it was honestly like pretty well designed for a quick little cash grab Minecraft ripoff app, but it was still very cool. There was also a beach map one. I didn't really play on this one, but I remember seeing it. I guess that you fight some like big like monster dude in it. I don't know, I saw some gameplay like a few minutes ago of it. And then also there's Block in 3D, whichever other one, I'll put it up on the screen, that Block in 3D map. That one was just like a military map. It's pretty simple, not much to say, but I remember it still. And then there's this one app, which I don't even remember the name, but I remember it was like, kind of like copied a few times. And it specifically was called like Skyblock Minecraft Minigame, Online Multiplayer or whatever. And this one was like pretty memorable, but for one reason for me. I remember playing this one, and despite saying it was Skyblock, it was actually like more like the Hunger Games mod or map in Minecraft, where you just fight to the death, get loot, and all that stuff. But I specifically remember seeing this one yellow potion, and that was like the main like kind of like health upgrade in the game, and I don't know why, but that has always stuck with me, and I don't know why. But also with these old Minecraft ripoff apps, I always remember going into random like multiplayer matches and just playing with random people. But that's the thing, when I go on them now, besides from Pixel Gun, but the other ones, nobody's playing. And that's very strange, because not only with these Minecraft ones, but just any online game that has just fell off and died over time. It used to be so lively, tons of people playing, but now it's just like a barren wasteland. It feels even more liminal. But also it's that feeling where you see like one of your friends online, and then they never log on again, and you never see them again. And it always makes you wonder what happened. And that's kind of what it's like, but with these games. They're just empty. Nobody's playing anymore. Sometimes they don't even work anymore. And they're just sitting there, rotting away. Very liminal, very strange. I am now down to the final 2 games. Well, one of them is technically a series, and the other is just a standalone game. But the next games I'm going to be talking about are Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm really only going to talk about like the first 3 games, because after that there's a lot more other stuff, and I only want to talk about the environments. So let's start with Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Also, I know that the movie came out, I watched it, it was amazing, and honestly, the set design was kind of liminal, so I guess that could count, but I'm just going to be going over the games. FNAF 1 is honestly a very good atmosphere for a horror game. It's just a rundown old pizzeria with animatronics in it, and the office area is a great example of liminal space. The only things that to the left and right of you are the doors and the hallways, and it's just a filthy, dirty place, and it looks like it's been like abandoned for years, which it was. And I think the whole entire atmosphere of FNAF 1 definitely adds to the fear, because already being like hunted down by animatronics is scary, but the atmosphere really sells it. The fact that the characters are at the top of the screen and you're at the bottom means that it's kind of like, it's a simple but very nice designed map for this game. And the fact that there's different Easter eggs, such as posters changing and having newspaper clippings instead of the list of the rules, honestly adds to the liminalness and the just fear in general. And then there's FNAF 2. FNAF 2 takes place in another pizzeria, a much bigger one, and there's a lot more animatronics, of course. And the office is very different. There's basically 3 open exits for anyone to come and get you, which is a lot scarier than the first game. And it still has some very like similar rooms, such as the party rooms, and it also has stuff such as the parts and service room, which has the withered animatronics, which is basically pitch black on the cameras unless you use your flashlight. And also, the puppets room too, the prize corner, is also a pretty like liminal and scary looking place in the map. Now on to FNAF 3. FNAF 3 is just a disgusting place in general. It's just fully green. The office has 2 different monitors this time, one to reboot stuff and the other to actually look at the cameras. And there's a full open window. There's also, if you see in the VR version, a vent right to the bottom right of you, and also a big doorway to the left. And this place also has various different, like, pieces of, I guess, like, memorabilia from the past games, such as, like, a Chica head, Foxy head, tons of, like, animatronic stands, because this is, of course, supposed to be a kind of, like, horror attraction, as explained in the game. And the fact that the only animatronic that's out to get you is Springtrap, not only is definitely more unique, but also kind of scarier. And the fact that you have to kind of lure him around the map to get away from you is a very unique mechanic. And also, with the cameras, this is the first game to ever show a cracked screen on a camera. I don't know why, but it's kind of interesting. Kind of liminal. And I guess like FNAF 4, FNAF Sister Location, FNAF 6, and Ultimate Custom Night are liminal, of course, but I just wanted to go over the first 3 games pretty quickly, also because, I mean, FNAF has been talked about like to death on YouTube, and I already plan to make some kind of FNAF video in the future. FNAF is a great example of liminal spaces in video games. And the final game I'm talking about is Iron Lung. Iron Lung, I think, is the perfect horror game, and because this is kind of a Halloween video, it's the perfect game to end on, because I think it's the scariest game possibly ever made. The story basically goes that these, like, I don't really fully know the story, but I'll just go over what I think I know about it. Basically, these guys send you down to this blood ocean to take pictures of various different, like, landmarks and other stuff like that, and it's basically just they're trying to kill you because, I don't know, they're bored or something. But already, the story makes the game scary already because you're basically gonna die no matter what, but you just don't know when. And the fact that you're going to the bottom of the sea is just so horrifying as well. Your actual, like, area that you spend time in is this disgusting, old, rusty submarine, and the only controls are like up, down, left, and right, and they're also pretty confusing, to be honest. This game already just sets up a great, horrifying atmosphere for the player. Also, with the PS1 graphics, it makes it even more scary. Also, the fact that the game takes place at the bottom of an ocean makes it basically perfect for liminal spaces, because it is a very vast ocean. And also, you have a map to actually, like, navigate around. And basically, you just have to go to these various different landmarks and take a picture at the, how you take a picture is, like, near the behind of the submarine. So some landmarks are these fish bones, where it's kind of around the bottom of the map. Also, there's a broken down building near the right of the map. And this is just like, it leaves you with so many questions. Like, did people used to live here? Is it just a building that fell down here? Or what? It's just a complete mystery. And it really adds to the liminalness of this game. There's also some more, I guess, like, important locations on the map, such as this weird, like, just shiny, glowing thing in the middle of the ocean, and it makes your screen go all, like, wibble wobbly and stuff, and it's just really trippy, but honestly kind of cool. And also, another one of them is the bottom of the map, kind of a little bit higher up than the way bottom. You see this. Just this terrifying fish looking at you. You have no idea what to do either. You're stuck in a submarine. That just makes it even scarier. Also, it makes you wonder, how long has this fish been looking at me? What is, like, going on? How do I escape this place? Also, throughout your way of taking these pictures, there's various different little events that can happen, such as gas leaks, which I don't even think that you can really stop. They're just there, and it just adds to the insanity because you feel like trapped under there. Also, at some point there's a fire in which you have to get your fire extinguisher, and this is just completely chaotic because it feels like you're actually just straight up gonna die. Now when you're almost at the end of the game, you go to take another picture and you see this. Just a huge eye. You have no idea what it belongs to either. It's just a huge creature's eye. It fills up the whole entire camera. And it's terrifying. And then your entire ship gets flung by it. And there's this huge, like, noise. And it is one of the scariest parts of the entire game. And then shortly after, your submarine starts to fill up with the blood water. It is horrifying. And right when you get to your final picture, it doesn't even matter what order you go in. When you go to take your final picture, this happens. You just see this fish, the one from before as well, and it just basically eats you and eats your entire submarine. And the thing is, on the picture, it didn't look that big. So the fact that that was like the big jump scare is absolutely horrifying, and it is perfect. This monster, this fish, is just completely indescribable. It has 2 beady eyes and a triangular mouth, I guess. Where with most other horror games like Five Nights at Freddy's, it's like, ooh, it's a scary animatronic bear. Or with Slender Man, it's like, ooh, it's a scary, skinny, white guy. But with this game, it's on a whole new level. I mean, already, I think that the ocean is horrifying, especially some of the fish and creatures in there. There are some disgusting things that live in the ocean, to be honest. The fact that we've only discovered like, what, 20% of what the ocean has is absolutely horrifying. And this game is a fantastic example of that fear. Overall, this game is a fantastic example of not only liminal spaces, but also just fear in general. The fact that it uses the ocean to its advantage is also a great thing too, because you don't know what's in the ocean, especially in this game. And there were also tons of cool like developer tricks that the developer did, in order to make the game work like how it did. And also, there's gonna be a movie of this game, yes, and it features Markiplier. There's already been a couple trailers that have been shown, and it looks amazing. With the release of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie being great, I think that this is going to be another fantastic movie, and I am so excited for it. Overall, why do we find liminal spaces scary? Well, it invokes kind of like a lost memory, I feel. When you go to these different video game maps, it has that same feeling. Construct, the Mario 64 castle, for me, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game. It's like these lost memories that you can't really get out of your head. But they're also kind of comforting in a way, because they're fun to explore, and they're very intriguing. And I think that a lot of these video games that I mentioned today give off a fantastic example of liminal spaces. It invokes fear, but comfort in a way, and it makes you feel like you've been in these places despite not actually being in them, and most of them not even existing in real life. But unintentionally or not, I think that these liminal spaces that I have mentioned are honestly just interesting. They're just very fun to explore and to talk about. That's why I made this video, I guess. But anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'm probably gonna go to bed now, and have a very happy Halloween.